It's Shane Duffy in conversation with our own Nathan Murphy, who joins us on the line this morning to give us his take on what happened last night. Nathan, it's been a fairly remarkable title run-in, and ultimately what we're going to remember is a few key moments, and definitely what we're going to remember is Vincent Kompany's Thunder Bastard from last night.
That's for sure. I think it's right up there in terms of iconic Premier League moments. When you talk of great goals, like, the context always needs to come into it, and to be able to do that from 25 yards out, the captain of the team, this sort of spiritual leader of Manchester City, the one good guy in the Manchester City team over the last 10 years, and out of nothing. Watching it last night, for some reason, I assumed it was flashing 2 yards just wide, as these sort of shots generally do, but like, it was that postage stamp of the top corner, and it looks as though it's going to win them the league. It's hard to see Manchester City not winning away against Brighton. And just the timing of it as well. The 5-6 minutes beforehand, you got a sense City were getting a bit frustrated, that Leicester were growing in confidence, that there was a sense, yeah, this is the night, even not winning the game, but that they were going to hold out, and Kasper Schmeichel was just making save after save. So to step up and score a goal like that, even if I'm not quite sure his teammates were shouting, "Don't shoot," the way he seems to have been imagining it, I presume that's something that maybe he's remembering from training when he got into similar positions. But yeah, it was an unbelievable goal, and what a goal to win the league. And listen, he obviously scored an unbelievable goal back in 2012 against Manchester United. The header that time, it was just as important in terms of winning the league. And he's been an unbelievable player. And even the way he's battled back into the Manchester City team this year has been impressive, because it looked for a long part of the season as though John Stones and Aymeric Laporte were not just the City centre-half partnership for this season, but for the next 4 or 5 years. But it's probably testament to his character that during this run, Pep Guardiola's relied on him a lot, because I think just for that experience of getting away with things and being able to marshal everybody else, the amount of fouls Vincent Kompany gets away with. Even you talk about moments in a title race, thinking back to that game against Liverpool at the start of the year at the Etihad, where it should have been sent off. But again, because it's Vincent Kompany, because he's a good guy, because he's a nice fella, yeah, he'd need to do something. He'd need to decapitate somebody.
But I was just about to say, I mean, the nice guy veneer is such a good weapon to have when you're a centre-back, who likes to play on the edge a little bit. Absolutely, absolutely. And, well, the nice guy veneer, and also being around for a decade, being the captain of a big team, grants you a certain amount of leeway. Even, did Wayne Rooney have a nice guy veneer? He still got away with absolute murder at times because of his reputation, because he was the leader of this giant club. But being a nice guy always gets you away with things. Look at David Silva last night. Probably very lucky as well not to have received a second yellow card. There's no way David Silva's going to mean to chop somebody down in midfield. It was purely an accident. Why would you book him a second time? And again, last night, City's tactical fouling is exceptional. Saw it against Burnley, like Raheem Sterling last week when we were at Turf Moor, 3 or 4 times. And all these teams, remember, are playing on the counter-attack against Manchester City. So the key moment for all their opposition is when they somehow steal the ball back off Manchester City on the edge of their own area and try and bomb forward at speed. And time after time after time, a City player cynically hauls them down and just gets away with giving the free kick. There's rarely a yellow card. There's certainly not 2 yellow cards coming for this. And it's a good game plan. It works for them. And I don't have a major issue with it, because it's what good teams do. Yeah,
it's funny that Mike Dean didn't know this, though, that we all knew about it, because Jurgen Klopp have been talking about it in the press.
I'm sure he does. Does that work the trick? Or then are you thinking, if I send him off here, am I going to be responding to Jurgen Klopp? And then Pep Guardiola comes out. Whereas actually, by doing nothing, everybody just sort of moves on and doesn't think about it. Whereas he sends off David Silva. Suddenly there's this, whoa, is he responding to Jurgen Klopp? Suddenly he's in the news for a couple of days. Maybe Mike Dean does want that. Exactly. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's also doing his job. He would just be doing his job.
Yeah, constantly. You can pick a dozen examples, and I'm sure it's not just Manchester City who you can pick these examples from, of players who've been booked, giving away very cynical frees in around midfield that otherwise would be a definite booking. Yeah. But Manchester City just seem to be better at it than everybody else. I do want to ask if the luckiest man in the world at the moment is Kelechi Iheanacho, that goal was such an amazing goal, so we're all talking about that if that had been a scratchy, if he'd arsed it in from 2 yards, Vincent Kompany last night, would the headlines be about him, or would it be about Kelechi's miss? Possibly. It was a shocker. Like, he never even got close, was the other thing. His technique was all wrong, and against his former club was the desire there, the Jamie Vardy-like desire. It was the one thing last night that Jamie Vardy never had a chance. That the opportunities for Manchester City, for all the talk and the build-up, none of them fell for Leicester, that fell to Jamie Vardy. There was a couple of half chances. There was a bad decision at one stage by James Maddison where he took the shot on himself and he probably should have passed to Mark Albrighton. But this is what great teams do. Players miss chances they would otherwise take against great teams because they feel the pressure, because they know they're only going to get one opportunity. So you're relying on Iheanacho to win you the title, as I think Manchester City have found out previously. It's not going to go too well for you.
No. How do Liverpool feel at the end of a season like this, where it looks now like they're going to crash out at the semi-final stage of the Champions League and they're going to end up just short, despite the fact that they've hit record-breaking levels of quality across the 38 games of that season and the extra 10 or 12 in the Champions League?
I think on Sunday, if they beat Wolves and Manchester City go to Brighton and win, I think it will be devastation. I think Liverpool supporters are trying to G themselves up into feeling that, well, this isn't a one-off, that unlike 5 years ago and 10 years ago and their previous title challenges, that actually this is sustainable, that they can come back, they're building something greater, building something more long-term. But I think there'll be a realisation at full time that, like, this is the sort of opportunity to get to 97 points and not win the title. You can enjoy the journey, and there have been so many memorable moments, from Origi's goal against Everton, the late own goal against Tottenham, even the game against Manchester City, and the loss, the quality that Liverpool have got to in the league this season. But you have to be, whether you lose by 1 point or 50 points, the disappointment is the same. And yeah, you can go back to the journey, but I think on Sunday night it'll be utter devastation. And I'm always wary in football of saying next season Liverpool can continue this. You just don't know. Real Madrid are going to spend big. What if they don't get one of their targets? What if somehow it falls apart with Eden Hazard and they decide Sadio Mane or Mo Salah are our guy and we're going to spend 150 million? It doesn't take a lot. One injury for one of those players and suddenly next season's a whole lot more difficult. And there's no reason to say that Manchester City are going to stall. You're going into next season again thinking probably need to get over 90 points to win the title. Like, Liverpool have got over 90 points once ever this year. So to do it back to back would be pretty much unprecedented for them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was a brief moment. It does feel like they're building, though. It feels like they've got their defence sorted, they've got the goalkeeper sorted, they've strengthened depth in midfield. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is coming back. And they will continue to spend. They will. We know that there's a bunch of players that they've had their eyes on, some of whom are already on their way. Like, we just know that the club is being managed properly.
Yeah, it is. And they obviously made a record-breaking profit recently as well. Jurgen Klopp over the last few weeks has sort of been talking it down, suggesting that don't expect the sort of spending of the last 18 months, which is, I guess, is understandable when they spent 130 million between Van Dijk and Alisson. But if they do reinforce the midfield, which looks to be the most important area, as well as Fabinho and Keita have done as the season have gone on, you would still look and think they need to purchase somebody in there. And I do think they will be contending over the next 2 or 3 years, particularly in the Champions League. I think they're there in the Champions League, and their style of football serves them so well in the Champions League.
So they actually need a striker more. Sorry to interrupt. They actually need a striker more for the times when someone is injured or unavailable. It's like, so when Firmino is out, the next, it's like we're going to push a midfielder forward and change our style to be more pressing, and that's what's important for it. Like, it's actually, some of those players who early in the season we thought were going to be much better and more important come the title race haven't actually panned out the way so Shaqiri, and notwithstanding the Origi goal that you talked about, he's really not quite good enough at this point.
No, I don't think any of Sturridge, Origi or Shaqiri are probably quite at the level, even though if Liverpool somehow do win the league, you look back on all three moments from them: Shaqiri against United, Sturridge against Chelsea, and obviously Origi a couple of times this season as pivotal moments. The question is, who do you buy? Like, who are you looking for to be the fourth of the three? Are you looking at Ajax? Are you looking at somebody like Ziyech at Ajax, or De Beek that can come in and is young, is energetic, is putting pressure on? And you're actually looking at that front three and saying, well, for one of you, this is your last season because this guy's ready. He's ready and waiting. So maybe that is the tack. And the one thing Liverpool have done brilliantly in the transfer market is they've done it under the radar. So don't be surprised if on Monday when all the disappointment is there of not winning the title. If Liverpool come out with a big transfer announcement, if they've it ready, they've it waiting, it's already done and dusted. It's hard to find strikers. Every team are looking for strikers. Manchester City are surely looking for somebody to replace Sergio Aguero, because Gabriel Jesus has just stalled over the last 18 months. And I guess City is the example of, we would have thought this time last year that Leroy Sané was the man for Manchester City. But actually, Pep Guardiola had the option when he saw that maybe things weren't going well for Sané to bring in Bernardo Silva, who's been up there with Aguero and Raheem Sterling as their player of the season. Whether Liverpool can ever get to the strength and depth of Manchester City, it's hard to know. But yeah, you'd expect they'll go and I think they'll buy a midfielder and probably some sort of a front three player. And they'll probably get rid of a lot of players. But the one thing Liverpool have done better than anybody is garnering value out of these fringe players, selling players who played once or twice for a club for 15, 20 million. You even look this week, Ryan Kent, who's on loan at Rangers, was named the Scottish Young Player of the Year. Suddenly I'd say Liverpool are looking at him as, 15 million worth of talent. That all adds up into giving themselves a nice little bit of cash.
Yeah, okay. Is there any hope that Brighton, I mean, you've just seen them play, they're not good enough to do anything really, are they?
No, it was a terrible game in some ways, quality-wise, against Arsenal on Sunday, and Brighton had chances in the second half to win it, but Arsenal also cut them apart time and time again with the sort of passages of play that Manchester City do with such ease. And Duffy and Dunk, like Shane Duffy in the last 20 minutes, I would say it was like monstrous stuff, like the amount of big headers he won to keep Arsenal at bay. City are just going to try and play around that. They'll just keep it on the ground. And I guess you think back to 2012 and everybody thought it would be very straightforward for Manchester City against Queen's Park Rangers, and there were nerves. It was obviously a different time. It was their first title that they were going for. But this time it's away from home. They don't need to lose the game. Like, that is the one little glimmer of hope for Liverpool supporters, that City don't need to lose. They're away from home. Teams drop points. Teams draw games away from home all the time. And maybe the dynamic of the day is that Liverpool score early against Wolves, and if Brighton can keep it tight, some nerves do creep in. You suspect, though, in fact, I think if City were to score early down at Brighton and it sort of filters through to Anfield, you wouldn't be surprised if maybe Liverpool struggled against Wolves, because Wolves this season against the top six have been excellent, and that maybe just all the momentum sort of goes out of Anfield and it doesn't turn out to be this perfect day that they've been imagining and dreaming about for the last 6 months. Yeah,
and I think that if they were going to have a chance of overturning the deficit against Barcelona, then Salah had to play the game of his life, and obviously he got concussed at the weekend, so that's not going to happen.
No, you're more looking at it now as something freakish, whereas weirdly, because it's Liverpool and it's Anfield and they can score so many goals and they created so many opportunities last week, there was probably more hope of Liverpool overturning it tonight than any other team in Europe. And Barcelona's record over the last 2 or 3 years in how they were knocked out away from home, that if this Anfield magic started, they got the goal inside 10 minutes, that momentum carries them through. You just look at it now and where are those goals going to come from? Where is the quality? It's going to be almost old school. I think Jurgen Klopp, in a way, even though he loves the atmosphere and is emotionally connected with Anfield, has sort of moved away from that this season. It's been one of the things Liverpool have done better. They have much more control about their performances. It's not all just on getting the cop behind them and trying to drive forward. Whereas tonight, they just need that. They need to go back and hope that something out of nothing, out of Rafa Benitez 2005, we don't have the players on the pitch, but somehow it's written in the stars that they can win this game. But it's very hard to make a case for it.
Where do you think we're going to be in 12 months' time, Nathan, when it comes to the Premier League? Is the top four scramble still going to be a massive scramble between 4 teams, and is it going to be a 2-horse race once again?
I think certainly the 2 teams that are there will still be there. Chelsea have shown that they can rejuvenate very, very quickly. So depending on who they sign and what happens with Hazard, you couldn't rule out Chelsea of the other 4 being the ones to make a bit of a run at it. Tottenham, by the sounds of it, aren't going to make a massive investment. They're going to again rely on the brilliance of Pochettino. Maybe the new stadium means they can go through the entire season there unbeaten. They can get a little bit more consistency. They avoid injuries to Harry Kane, and just, as I say, the brilliance of Pochettino as a manager brings them on to that extra level. Manchester United, it's hard to see them getting anywhere near it. We should put money on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still being the Manchester United manager this time next year. And Arsenal, I think, of the four of them are, like, I just think they were a disgrace again at the weekend. They're a million miles off it. You at least look at Chelsea and Manchester United in terms of rebuilding and think, Manchester United, they've got Marcus Rashford, they've got Jesse Lingard, they've got some decent young players there that, and also could go and spend 350 million. Chelsea will do well and will buy properly and aren't that far off it this season. Whereas Arsenal need a totally new back four. They need to replace Aaron Ramsey. Like, they're not a young side either. Like, Aubameyang's going to be 30 soon. And he's their main striker. So you just look at Arsenal and think, like, they need 250 million quid. And that ain't there. Unai Emery has been a great cup manager. Can he do it over a league campaign? I know when he came in, everyone said give him 2 or 3 seasons. Again, football doesn't work like that. If Arsenal start next season slowly, he's going to be under massive pressure. So I can't see Arsenal or Manchester United getting anywhere near it. It's just whether Chelsea or Spurs can push it that little bit closer. But like over 20 points, right now I would expect Manchester City to win the league again next season. Yeah,
Jesse Lingard's 26, by the way. If he's the young core of the team, that
this is the criticism of Jesse Lingard should be able to look to Paul Pogba as an example, even though they're the same age.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Pogba's probably a bit better, a
few more medals,
higher achieving, shall we say? Knows how to run a game, chooses not to. Nathan, good stuff.
Did you just do a Jesse Lingard dance there?
No, that was just like the levels here. Are you in your Liverpool pajamas? That's what we've had.
No, do you know? Actually, funny you ask, Ger. Do you know what I'm in?
Your golf gear.
I'm in my running gear, Ger.
Hey!
Because you know what? Do you know what, Ger? I'm gonna. You know this triathlon we're doing in 1 month that you're also doing. I've decided I'm going to go crazy and do a bit of training for it.
How long is your run?
5 kilometers.
You can do 5k. We've got.
How long's your cycle?
20 kilometers.
That is far easier than a 5k run.
I don't think it is.
It's up a hill.
I'd like to switch to the 5k run. I could do the 5k run. It would take a long time, but the 20k cycle, my arse is going to break. That's like, and also I don't really have a bike. That's the other thing. It's like I don't know how we're going to practice for this.
Most definitely an issue. Going to be an issue for you.
Well, we haven't officially launched that yet, so we will at some point soon when everybody's in the same building at some point.
All right.
Nathan, good
Cheers,
stuff.
Lads.
Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks a million.
Talk to you. Thanks, bye.
Yeah.
Just looking at this again last night, the inches with which that ball sneaks in from Vincent Kompany. Do you wonder if you're who's more frustrated over the kind of travails of their team over the last 20 years, Liverpool fans or Mayo fans?
Oh, the pain rankings. Who?
I wonder, like...
Mayo. Liverpool won the Champions League.
Good point. Very good point. And
out of nowhere.
They haven't had as many near misses as well when it comes to the Premier League. They must be just so frustrated, especially because I wonder, does it enhance the frustration that there's just simply nothing you can do about this? Well, maybe beating City would have helped around Christmas there, but largely there was nothing you can do about this ridiculous Manchester City run, putting in one of the best, if not the best, league campaign that your club's ever put in, certainly in the Premier League era. And it finishes like this. It just must be so painful. Like, the hope is there, and it's a lot more than hope. It's close to
it's real.
A suspicion that it's going to be there again next year.
I think this whole kind of narrative is about the pessimism that Liverpool fans have. It's weird. It's like the team is back. They're back. They're credible contenders. They've got strength and depth. They've got a great manager. They've got a great stadium. They've got good, solid owners who aren't going to just rip the money out of the club, it looks like.
But this potential La Liga scenario suits Liverpool, though.
Oh, well, if you're one of the two teams, it's great.
Exactly. It goes back to like Ferguson versus Wenger, where like once every so often Manchester United will just not reach that peak, and Arsenal slipped in, Bardi Invincible's year, slipped in to win the Premier League, and that can happen with Liverpool. The thing is, it's only going to be a 2-year window, maybe. All right,
I want to ask you very quickly: would you take Arsene Wenger back right now?
No.
Would you?
No.
Would you really? Do you think they should have got rid of him when they got rid of him?
Yes.
Unai Emery's a better manager than him?
No.
There you go. So it wasn't the right decision. I was just pissed off, and now I want him back.
When you're saying, is Unai Emery a better manager than Arsene Wenger? Like, you're talking about right now?
Hey, would Wenger have finished where they finished now? Where? Would they?
Similar enough, to be quite honest with you.
Similar enough. Similar enough. Exactly the same?
Not sure if exactly the same. They might have dipped themselves down to 6th, but thankfully Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't better than Arsene Wenger.